Zoe Lister-Jones.
Thank you.
A good job.
Thanks.
Yeah, I think, yes. Maybe we'd start if we just talk about how you kind of came up with the idea, the concept for the film.
I had a vision of a movie opening on a fight, and there was actually a moment where I thought it was going to be a father and a daughter, but that just kind of like popped into my mind, and I think I was more interested in exploring kind of what it means to be committed to somebody and why people choose to stay committed, and the work it takes. And I also knew that I wanted to find a story that had music at its center, because the creative process as a screenwriter for me had become a little bit stale, and I needed something to like snap me out of it, and I knew that music would do that for me. It was something that I had done in the past, but never to this extent. So it was also a new challenge, which excited me. So it then became a story about a couple who fights through music.
Terrific, and a noteworthy thing about the production is that you worked with, or you hired an all-woman crew on the film, and is that? Was it difficult to manage that with talking with the executive producers and such, or?
Yeah, it was definitely one of the first things that I brought up with our executive producers, who were men, and they were very supportive of it. I think they were excited by the idea. But it was sort of a mandate from day one for me when I decided I was going to direct it, and of course there were many challenges along the way, but it was an incredible experience.
And I think you mentioned that to me that you I guess have since done a music video with the same crew, or many of the same.
Yeah, we did a music video for The Dirty Dishes, and I hired an all-female crew, some of whom were the same and some were new crew members.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Any questions or comments from the audience? Depending on the location, I may actually repeat the question, but yes, right there.
Were you a musician before you started the movie?
I had never played an instrument, so I learned bass for the movie. I was in a band in high school and college that was more performance art than band, but I did like sing in it, and then I started writing lyrics and recording some music with a friend of mine, Kyle Forrester, who collaborated with me on the music in this. But yeah, I had dabbled in music. Adam played guitar in high school bands, and Fred is like a legitimate drummer. He's like as you saw. We played all the music live in the film, so Adam and I knew could get away with being less proficient musicians, because that's sort of part of the narrative, is that we're learning. But we needed a real drummer, and I didn't write the part for Fred, and in retrospect, I don't know who else could have possibly played it, but he is both an amazing comedian and an amazing drummer.
And you co-wrote most of the songs, didn't you? Yeah.
Yeah. I wrote the lyrics as part of the screenwriting process, and then collaborated on the music with a friend of mine. Yeah.
So you're adding another hyphenate to your your work. Yes.
I was just wondering what your shoot schedule was like. How many days? About how long your average day?
Asking about the shooting schedule.
We shot just under a month, and our days were about 12 hours. Yeah. We had, I will say, the crew was incredibly like nurturing and patient and calm, but also super efficient. So, women hires. I highly recommend it.
So was it difficult, or were you just bursting at the seams to direct? I mean, was it difficult transitioning into being a director? Notice you also did it in widescreen, which is interesting.
Yeah. It wasn't a difficult transition. I mean, obviously, directing is a difficult responsibility in many ways, but I had co-written and produced and starred in 3 features prior to this, and I think I learned a lot on those films in terms of wearing a lot of hats. And so this felt sort of like the next logical step for me.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. I'm looking for a woman, but they're all the
one.
guys. Oh, there. Okay, there. There. Yes.
Thanks. Mostly through calls and text messages. I didn't have a casting director, so I'm very lucky that a lot of those people are my friends. And I started, since we produced this super independently, and actually went to our financiers when we already had a cast assembled. I kind of assembled the ensemble cast first, because they were all of my friends, and they agreed to come and play. And then I didn't know Adam. We had met, I think, once or twice, just in passing, so that him and Fred were more through proper channels, agents and managers and stuff.
Yes.
In the film, your husband, when he was talking to his mother, and she, in such a great way, explained the difference between men and women, I thought that was really poignant, and I was wondering what that significance was.
About his character's mother telling him the difference between men and women.
Well, I guess like a lot of the issues that are explored in the film are questions that I've grappled with my whole life. I'm a child of divorce, and so I think a lot of these questions about why men and women choose to stay together and when they throw in the towels, and what why it seems the same sort of fights continue to break us. Like why we can't crack it is something that I think in that scene, me as a writer was also just me as a person kind of trying to distill some of those questions into distinctions between the two. Yeah.
Yes.
Why the Jewish backstory?
Why the Jewish backstory?
Why Jews? Well, I'm Jewish, and I guess, it's one of those things of writing what you know. But Adam's tattoo definitely heightened the Jew element, which I didn't know about until just a few days before shooting. But his Hebrew name is Asher, for those of you who can read Hebrew.
Yes. She was asking if there was a lot of ad-libbing.
The fight scenes were all scripted. Throughout the film, there were certainly ad-libbed moments, but we stuck to the script for the most part. In the script, there's a lot of dual dialogue and a lot of interruptions, and I think that was important for me as a screenwriter to try and capture the authenticity of those kinds of dynamics, but obviously I never wanted any of the actors to feel like they couldn't add something if they felt it was additive to a scene.
Yeah, it's way back there in last row.
Am I married? Yes. I've been with my now husband for 13 years. So I'm in it.
Do you sing to each other? Yes. Yeah.
We do actually. We love to play music, which is probably, we've never sang our fights. We've never actually written original music, but sometimes we sing covers together.
The last row there, yes.
Could you please explain what love is a trip means to you?
Sure. Well, I guess metaphorically speaking, the movie starts on this drip that is this nagging sort of this thing that the couple, it's right in front of their faces, but that they can't fix, and that once they do fix it, another drip appears. And I guess for me, that's what love is. It's always having to clean up a mess, but you're in it to do that. And so I guess, yeah, love is a drip. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, it started on a drip, and it ended on a drip.
Yes. What does your husband think of the film? What does your husband think of the film?
Well, he's one of the executive producers. He's very supportive. I mean, my husband and I have collaborated on three narrative features before this, so I think both of us were excited to have some creative space, and this film deals with that in many ways, what it's like to create art with a romantic partner. But yeah, he loves it.
But you wouldn't let him on the set.
He wasn't allowed on the set, no.
Yes, over there.
First off, I feel like it's totally charming.
Oh, thanks.
And I really think you sell being a woman incredibly well in the film.
Oh.
But also, I'm wondering, what do you hope people take away from this? So it's men and women, regardless of whether they're in relationships, what do you want people to walk away with as their message?
It's not like a message-driven film to me. I think I just hope that people feel moved, whatever that means to them, that they went on a ride. And for me, like, the most gratifying thing is when people come up and say, like, that's my relationship, or I've been in that fight, or, I think the universality of the issues is always meaningful to me.
Yeah. Anything else? Yes, way back there.
I love the framing of the work in progress that you kind of captured different ways throughout the movie, and especially the montage scene where they were developing their act.
When they're performing in the club and they're evolving. Yeah. I just wanted to wear a bunch of cute outfits. I think that the band is pretty rough around the edges up until that moment. And so I was excited to see them grow and for them to have a moment where the audience can kind of track their growth. And not that just their growth musically, but that obviously it's kind of running in parallel with the growth of their relationship and the renewal of their love.
I don't want to, this may sound like a cliche, but I'm very curious, what filmmakers do you admire? I mean, the filmmakers that you've looked at or studied.
Yeah. I mean, for this film, I was interested in what it would look like if Cassavetes made a comedy. And that was a big influence. Because it just, for me, like, I think a lot of modern relationship comedies, I don't know, have lost like their art and sometimes their authenticity. And I just felt like comedy and love stories can be really messy and can also navigate really uncomfortable territory. And I think the sort of urgency and immediacy of the performances that he captured was really inspiring to me. I also watched Woody Allen's Husbands and Wives a lot, especially for the sort of visual aesthetic, because I was really interested in the way that the camera was like so voyeuristic in that film. It almost felt like you weren't supposed to be watching some of those scenes. And I have to say, I love Miranda July. I think her voice is so unique, and her vision is so unique, and her kind of pairing of style and substance is something I've always admired.
Oh yeah, very original filmmaker.
Yeah.
Yes, back there, yes.
Oh, thanks. IFC Films bought it out of Sundance. And so we are now in theaters in New York and LA, and we open in San Francisco this weekend. So if you like the film, please tell all your friends to go see it. Because we do need like all the word of mouth we can get.
Yeah. Yes, back there.
It was wonderful and fun and touching.
Thanks.
You music, or script music, and then music, and played music, and learned to play, and made a video. So where's the band gonna play?
Where's Bang gonna play? Well, we just released an EP, which you can buy on iTunes. It's the Dirty Dishes, yeah. You have to type in the Dirty Dishes EP. But yeah, so we went into the recording studio and recorded an actual album, which was really fun. And we've played 4 live shows since the movie. Wow. We played our premiere at Sundance, and then we played 2 shows in New York, and then we just played our premiere in Los Angeles. So we're working on it. I hope that the band continues because we have a lot of fun together.
I just appreciated all those aspects of your character and how you
Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, I think obviously being an actress, but also being a feminist, I'm very aware of female representation on screen and a lot of the stereotypes that continue to be perpetuated. So I think that I'm glad that resonated with you, that some of those were subverted.
Yeah. And did you have a question? It premiered at Sundance this year.
Yeah, I didn't
in
develop
January.
it there. They do have they have programs where you can go develop screenplays or directors labs, but this was just independent, and then we just submitted like everybody else.
Yes.
Oh, thanks.
Speaking a word or two about fearlessness.
Just 1 or 2. Fearlessness. Well, I mean, I don't know how to speak about fearlessness. I guess I'm grateful to my mom for telling me that I could do anything that I ever wanted to, and then some. Because I think it is so important, especially for little girls, to be taught those lessons in a way that feels real, that can be put into action. So yeah, I guess that's who I blame.
Great. Yeah. And there, yes.
Susie Essman, who's probably most well known for her role on Curb Your Enthusiasm, but it's a very different character. So it was nice to give her a moment to shine in a different light.
Oh, okay. Yes.
It took. I wrote the script in about like 3.5 months, and then I gave the script to my a producer on Life in Pieces, a woman who I was watching the first season and just saw that she was really an intrepid producer, and I thought, oh, she's got what it takes to make an independent film. So I brought it to her, and I think from the day I brought it to her to our first day of production, it was 5 months. So it was a really expedited process. And then we shot it a year ago and premiered it in January in Sundance, and now it's out. So it's been this amazing whirlwind. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it will be very long before you get another opportunity.
Oh, I hope not.
Yeah. So it opens this Friday in the Bay Area. Thank you, Zoe Lister-Jones.
Thank you so much. Thank you.